I went to an undergraduate school that doesn't give grades and never has. So, some of this stuff has been going on in pockets, particularly in American small liberal arts colleges for a long time.
Medical school?
No, an undergrad.
So, but medical school
and medical school
doesn't give
and
grades.
neither does the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. And I think that my takeaway from that experience as a student was that the assessment that was done. So we received a written assessment at midpoint of the term, and then a written assessment at the end of the term that were just narratives. And I can look back on those, and it's like receiving a little novel about yourself, right? That your transcript is like thick and robust, and you look back on it and you remember the things that happened in that class because it's a reporting on the actual experience of being in the class. The consequences of that, though, for that school as a system are that the classes do need to be small, right? You can't possibly interact with people in a human level and get to know them well enough if you have enormous classes of 200, like undergraduates. You're just not going to be able to write one of those assessments accurately on 200 people. And then I think the other consequence, I was also very involved in the kindergarten rollout in my local area, and we in our board had for a number of years a one-box report card. So now Ontario's moved to a four-box report card to reflect the four frames of the kindergarten document, but we had a one-box report card in our board because we had a fabulous superintendent at the time. And so we just wrote about the kid, right? And so it was beautiful. And not that the new report card is terrible. It's, we wish we could go back to one box, but it's certainly better than what existed prior to all of that. I think it is, our reflection on it has been that while it is very much what Maxine Green describes as wide awakeness, right? You force yourself into a place as a teacher where you have to really be aware of the teaching moves that you're making and really be aware of the kids and where they're at and your response to them. It is much more intellectually demanding on teachers, which you touched on, right, in terms of the relationship building with kids, the knowing where they're at, the constant process of feedback and reflection. It's much more demanding to teach that way than to give set assignments and then grade them and then
but with the parent and student reflection,
sure,
it makes it easier because you're reminded about what's going on. So that, like, if you're doing it by yourself, yes.
But it changes the game of teaching, is what I'm saying.
And in the end,
the job is
it makes it better. In the end, it makes it more enjoyable and, more meaningful. Right?
Yes, but I think part of the pushback is that
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. And I love the work.
And we've heard that from all of our teachers. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of work.
But it's meaningful.
And it's changing. Yeah. The opinions are changing after 3 years.
Yeah. You ladies are doing amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's refreshing to see.
It's not completely perfect. We have, now that the presentation's over, we can say there are some issues. Of course there will be. Yeah. It's not perfect.
Right.
There are parents, there are students, there are teachers that completely hate it and are putting a lot of pressure. But all in all, we're moving in the right direction, and we're trying to make it easier for everybody.
It's interesting because I'll group you in let's say three. You're all coming at it in three different angles, sort of thing, right? So it's quite powerful when you see that. So, as an employer, if I look at what's lacking, I could sit here all day, all night, all week, and we could talk and reflect on my own upbringing, how marks affected, how they didn't affect, and so on, the effect on my kids, and now that they're 31 and 27, the difference in some of the challenges they're going through now that they're in the workforce. It's powerful. But the two significant missing that I hear from employers day after day after day, especially entrepreneurs, is critical thinking. I don't know how, if I miss a day of not hearing critical thinking, it's like I missed something, right? So, but it's a serious issue, right? So, and the fear of making mistakes. So, if those two can be tackled head on, and by the work that you're doing is that tackles it head on, from what I can see, and talking to a lot of different people, that would be a very, very powerful thing as far as increasing passion, increasing entrepreneurialism, increasing a lot of positivity that this country has. And, you know, we're all trying to do startups, we're all trying to do the next best thing. But if you don't have critical thinking, or if that fear of failure is there, you're not going to do it. Because, you know, the world is an ugly place, and so you've got to take that ugliness and turn it into a buttercup. And you know?
Frown upside down.
Right? And so, you know, the frowns are easy, right? So it's, the work you're doing is, you know, it's literally good stuff.
We've got 4 comments, and I think we're hopefully squeaked through enough, quickly enough to get all 4 in 5 minutes. So we'll start in the back.
I was just wondering if you see this perhaps eventually leading to schools that don't have grades, like grade 1 or 2.
Currently, I have the Surrey Academy of Innovative Learning. We're trying to do that. So we're very multi-age, and it's we're a blended learning program. So students attend 4 days, and there's a 5th day of home learning that is done by the parents at home. And again, the Fresh Grade Loop really helps. So there's we use online digital tools, but we have family groupings. And so, yes, like I try to do primary. So I have 2 K-3 classes, 16 kids in each, and I have 2 classes with grades 4 through 7. Now, many of the students that come are gifted LD to the program, but it's all inquiry-based. And so we really structure the classes, and I do a gradual entry, just like in kindergarten, with these kids so that we can see who works best together, because it's about communities of learners. It's about their collaboration, and so that's what we really focus on. So we have to observe them working together, because I have grade 4s in the program that are doing, you know, grade 11 math. So we call it, it's the Surrey Academy of Innovative Learning, and our tagline is Learning Without Limits. So and we're only in our 3rd year with the elementary program at my school, and we are really trying to toy with that idea. The teachers aren't teaching grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. We actually look at the common big ideas. Kids, we start where you are, and so if you're so grade 7s are working with grade 3s and 4s, because that's where their interests are and their passions are. So yeah, it's interesting. So we're dabbling.
Yeah, we have a question here.
I think what I'm hearing from, multiple people at this conference in general is to give a lot of choice and power to the students to guide their own learning, which I think is exceptional. But also another piece of that I'm concerned sometimes with is what can we do as educators and to prepare other educators to be able to sort of offer that in a wide way that it's always accessible to students. Because you might have a teacher one year who has that skill set. There is a specific skill set you got to have to be able to really encourage students to do that, and keep track of all of them. Like, they're really moving very fast as kids, which is exceptional, but what do we do to support the educators so that they can match that in their students, right?
Because just piggybacking on that, I think Ontario, the reality is every grade teacher is teaching multiple grades anyways. We are about differentiated instruction, so in any grade, we're looking at students from that continuum from pre-K. And then, that continuum spreads as you go up. So our grade 8 teachers are teaching from pre-K skills up into trying to do some grade 9 stuff. So it's sometimes we don't sit back and say this is our reality anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time that we reframe it and acknowledge it.
But I think it may also be, we may need to take a page from some of the medical schools that do interviews and, a much more in-depth assessment of incoming students, in terms of what, not just choosing teachers for teachers college based solely on their grades.
On what they can
Right,
actually
that there's,
Okay, we got 2 in the back, and that's going to wrap us up.
that guy over there.
Which person? Where?
That man with the beard.
The man with the beard. You might finish. We'll see. So we'll go back here, and then come on over.
With the beard.
Yeah.
Steve's calling here said that hers was already covered, so I guess I'll go.
Okay.
I just wanted to reflect on a comment that was made around not being able to connect with multiple students in the classroom context, and I just want to disagree respectfully. because when I was teaching at a level of post-secondary, that you can connect with a studio of students from 90 to 150 if you get to know their names. Because if you remember a name, they will come to you, and then you have the relationship with them. So that was my primary concern in the first week to 2 weeks, was to get to know people's names. And when I did that, and when I said to them, each time you put your hand up, please tell me your name, and I remembered those names, that made all the difference in the world. The relationship basis for their learning, they took off. They took off in their learning just because I was interested in them. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Right.
You can do that in a large ranks.
Yeah, I
And
guess my point was
at the
just
same
about
time, I also wanted to
really
talk
big.
really big, really big.
But we're talking about University has like
When I was
1,000 people.
when I was teaching at University of Guelph many years ago, the classrooms were that size. Now they're double that size. And you can still do that in a different way with technology, as opposed to with, face-to-face. So that's an important piece as well, that they're a lot larger now. And I actually started at University of Toronto, and this is a reflection of what you're talking about. In the psychology class that I took in 1983 in September, not dating myself at all, there were 1,800 students in the class, and we were in convocation hall. And the person at the front of that class was using a microphone, and people at the top could not hear the microphone, let alone. So to me, that was my understanding, my learning, that the context of those classrooms. I got 52 in psychology. I am now a child and family therapist who teaches in the child, or have taught in the child and youth and family program, and work with children's mental health every day, day in, day out. And I got 52 in psychology.
Not a very accurate assessment.
No.
And with that, right, let's go guy with the beard. Last question. All right. Thanks again for these guys. They're great.